So here's what we've got. We're living in some exciting times, right? So what we're going to talk about today is information that's, obviously if you're here, you've got a market that's highly Hispanic, or you're interested in making sure that you reach and serve those customers better. So number one, thanks for being here. Number two, thanks for caring enough to consider looking at this. And number three, if you're here for a reason, I'm going to give you a lot of information. It may come fast, but I promise we'll have plenty of time for Q&A at the end. And I promise not to go so fast that you miss everything. I'm one of those people that if it weren't mandated that there be slides, there wouldn't be any, because I really believe in this. I'm really having a hard time staying on the stage, but the guy on the camera, I think, will throw stuff at me if I step off it. So, that being said, if I move a lot up here, I apologize, but obviously as a chubby kid, I don't run and I don't walk a lot, so this will be my exercise for like the whole time in Vegas. We live in a really, really exciting time right now, right? We all know that the Hispanic community in the U.S. is growing at a faster rate than any other demographic out there. Because of that, it's shifting a few things in the way we do business. And I want to start this by telling you, for the most part, it shouldn't shift anything, because this is a business of people. Now, that being said, there are some things we need to do to make sure that we serve the Hispanic community well, because what's really happening is that we're doing things well with everybody else, and we're just not doing the same stuff for that community in most cases. So I'm going to dig in. I want to share a little bit of data with you, mostly because I hate data, but I think you might want to write it down, and it'll make the stuff that comes after the data make a heck of a lot more sense. So let me just start by telling you that the views expressed are not supported by NADA. They're mine. Okay, so why do we need to focus on Hispanic buyers? There are a couple things on the screen. Normally I'd say take a picture, but the robot told you not to, so write these things down. A couple things we have to embrace immediately. Hispanics are online. The U.S. Hispanic community over-indexes every other demographic in the country when it comes to what they're doing online, especially in automotive. Let me say that again. The U.S. Hispanic community over-indexes every other demographic, every other nationality in this country when it comes to online shopping, online searching, online browsing, online data collecting. So we need to stop thinking that that little rag in the gas station is really where all the Hispanic people go to look for cars. They go there because you're not giving them anything else. The next thing is this: Hispanics are highly mobile. If you did not know this, and I'll just tell you because we're buddies with the folks over at Google and they gave us data that they haven't published yet, but mobile devices, the U.S. Hispanic community gets all the hottest ones before almost everybody else. They upgrade quicker, which means they've got access to things faster, which means they're using the best technology. So if they've got the best technology and your dealership's not functioning in a way that presents something for that, oops, we might be missing something. Third thing is this. Same thing I said at the beginning. It's the fastest growing segment out there. Now, I'm going to throw a number at you that is extremely important, right? According to the Census Bureau and all the other people that take a bunch of numbers down, by 2035, more than 50% of the population is going to be Hispanic. Now, true or false? How many of you in this room are not Hispanic? Say, I'm not. Okay, are you planning on moving anytime soon? Are you leaving the country? Okay, so we need to look at these numbers and just, as linear thinkers, go like this. If more than half of the country's population will be Hispanic by 2035, and right now it's about 18%, 20%, that means by 2035, the population in this country will have nearly doubled, because everybody else isn't leaving, which means your opportunities at your dealership over the next 2 decades can double. If you're not looking at the math that way, you're missing the boat. 2 decades from now, you can look at what you're selling now, and if you do it right, if you care, and if you make those connections, since the rest of the population's not leaving, but half of it's going to be Hispanic, it's going to nearly be doubled. So if you do things well, if you care enough about the U.S. Hispanic community, oh my gosh, you can sell twice as many cars, make twice as much money, which means twice as many repeat customers, twice as many referral customers. Oh gosh, that's how business is done, if we do it well. But most of us don't think 2 decades from now because we're too afraid to spend $1 today to get those folks to come see us. Spending is through the roof in the Hispanic community. You've probably seen this slide before. Maybe my buddy Peter Lito from Google has shown it when they're showing their path to purchase stuff, if they talked about Hispanics at all. But it's actually 1.5 trillion now. It's projected now 1.3 trillion. So the growth in the community is nuts. If you look, 126% of the population among 18 to 34-year-olds will come from Hispanics. These numbers don't lie, okay? Now, again, I hate stats, I hate numbers, but I think they're so important. If we don't look at these numbers, maybe we just won't buy into why we need to start thinking 2 decades down the road. Now, most people want to tell you stuff that right now, well, tomorrow you'll make money. There are some things I'll tell you right now that when you go home, tomorrow you'll make money if you do those things. But I think it's more important for you to look at your dealership because how many of you plan on still being employed and having a store in 2 decades? If you do, say, I do. Whew, I thought so. I was like, man, nobody's planning on. Skip this, I'm out. Okay, if that's your game plan, then we should probably start thinking there and then peel back and see how we get there. These numbers help us realize the importance of that. What else is important is this. Most people, 3 out of 10, are messing around online, whatever. The general population, 30% of their day, rather, is spent online. U.S. Hispanics, a little bit more of their day is spent online. It's not a big number when you say 3%, but if you think 100,000 people, 1 million people, 10 million people, 3% more time online becomes a much more relevant, more exciting number. True or false? Okay, so let's talk about that. 2015 was ginormous, right? About 2 million Hispanics planning on buying a new vehicle. They were supposed to account for about 18% of automotive sales. When we see all the numbers come in, we're probably going to see it's actually a little bit higher than that. What a lot of people believe, what I hear a lot of times when I'm talking with dealers all over the country is, yeah, but, we don't really do buy here, pay here. Or, we don't have a special finance department. And I'm like, okay. So what's that have to do with what we're talking about right now? Well, I mean, most of the cars that are being purchased are lower dollar. Most of them require special financing. There's just troubles with. And I'm like, where are you getting this info? Like Roy Rogers? Fact of the matter is this. Ford, Toyota, Chevrolet, and Honda, most of them saw 90+% of their new car sales growth come from U.S. Hispanics. What? 4 of the largest automakers in the country, nearly 90% of their new car sales growth came from Hispanic buyers. Oh gosh, I guess they can get financed and they have cash. So if you have any stereotypes where you believe in order to reach this community, you have to have a B-lot or buy here, pay here programs or things like that, you're mistaken. U.S. Hispanic buyers not only have the money to buy, they have the credit to buy and the desire to buy. They just actually want to meet somebody who desires to serve them the same way they serve their English-speaking customers. But this is where the journey begins in reaching out to them. So I would encourage you to write this down. How many of us, the first place we go to search for anything is Google? If that's you, say, that's me. Right? Google has become a verb. How cool would that be for like your company to be a verb? Hey, I need to find out the price on this. Google it. That would be cool. Like, hey, I got to find out about this. Matt it. That would be so sick. I don't think that's ever going to catch on. Here's the thing, though. If we look at this, search is influential. 75% of Hispanics said that search influenced their purchase decision. Now, let me peel that back a layer. Because we all know that we're going to Google stuff to find out information. But it helped influence what they bought as well as where they bought. So you're going to learn in a few moments that the consideration is a little bit different in the cross-shopping and the loyalty. And a couple of us were talking about loyalty before this began. And there's something critical you need to know about that. The other thing is this, though. And this is, to me, probably one of the most important numbers you should write down. That's the 34%. So I would encourage you to write that down. Because 34% of U.S. Hispanics said that the info they got on Google was to learn more about brands they weren't even considering. Now, let me say that again. If I'm a guy that drives a Honda Accord, there's a high likelihood I will consider a Toyota Camry, right? If I'm driving a Kia, whatever, what's a Kia, the big one? No, what's it? It's Kia Soul. If I'm driving a Kia Soul, I may look at a Nissan Cube, right? I mean, because they're in similar categories. They're relevant. And they're both imports. But 1 in 3 U.S. Hispanics said, you know what, I went to search, and I just started finding vehicles I hadn't even considered. And guess what that means? I then opened up to that. So I'm looking for stuff in a Soul. Somebody screwed up their PayPerClick ad, and I saw something for a 370Z, and I went, man, these kids are going to be gone soon. I just need 2 seats. We could keep that minivan an extra year. So the good thing for you is in reaching U.S. Hispanics, not only you have a great opportunity to serve them in the normal ways, but you have conquest opportunities like no other demographic in this country if you do it right. And we'll talk about that. So, a couple things that you may really enjoy. How many of you are doing PayPerClick? If you are, say, I am. Okay, I'm not going to sway you either way. I really don't care if you do. But if you do, what you should know is doing PayPerClick in Spanish is phenomenally more affordable. Now, whoever you're paying to do it might not charge you less. But the cost per click is dramatically lower. dramatically lower, and there are multiple reasons. Number one, the OEMs are doing it, but they're not extremely aggressive. I know I've spoken to Toyota Learning Labs, and I'm going back out there in July, and a lot of Toyota dealers, their manufacturer is supporting it, but a lot of Toyota dealers aren't even doing it yet. And it's like, well, your OEM's driving traffic. Why aren't you? Well, most of the time, well, let me ask you this. How many of you are doing pay-per-click in Spanish? If you are, say, I am. Exactly. Now, most of the folks, and it may not be your experience, but it's been my experience with most people that I've spoken with, and I've said, why aren't you doing it in Spanish? And they go, hey, I don't really know where to begin. Just quick tip. It's in the exact same place as all your English stuff. And the next thing was, where am I going to point them? Okay, they click it, and what? I bait and switch them from a Spanish ad to an English website or a crappy Google Translate button that takes like 16 minutes to translate my page. Sorry, I'm trying to be careful so I don't spill water all over their electrical stuff. The amount of things that I may have done to pre-offend NADA, I just don't want to burn everything down. So with pay-per-click ads, they're still very affordable. The OEMs are embracing it. You have a great opportunity because here's the reality. Typically when people go to a workshop, they go to a conference, they get in a room, chubby kid like me starts telling them all this info. I say that because most people in this industry are a little chubby. Chubby guy gets on stage, starts telling them a whole bunch of info, and here's what you can do. Only about 1 in 10 are actually going to go back and do it. So the cool thing is, if you've got a couple of your competitors in this room that are in your city, if you're the one that does it, you got a 90% chance they won't. So not only can you get in front of them, but you can smash them. And I don't know about you, but I'm a real big fan of not only winning, but doing it in a way that's very destructive to the people that want to compete with me. Speaking of which, let's talk about cross-shopping, shall we? Here's the cool thing. Most folks consider about 4 cars on average. But when it comes to millennials, which, let's face it, is the majority of the growth, and I'm not going to sidetrack this because I think it's 100% relevant. We hear a lot of folks complaining about millennials in our industry, which seems kind of silly. I'm obviously not one, I'm 40. But here's the crazy thing. They're all the ones that are going to be buying cars. So we kind of need to embrace that. But they're also the best thing that ever happened to this industry. Because millennials are the first generation that just don't take crap from us. Our parents, when they would go shop for a car and they have a bad experience, they would be like, okay, well, we're going to think about it. And then they would go home and they'd be like, oh my God, I'm never going back there again. I'm the worst experience ever. And millennials would be like, dude, I got my phone pulled up. You have a friggin' ad running on this other site and the car's $500 less. Why are you trying to rip my face off for another $500? You suck. True or false? They're the wake-up call that we needed, though, to bring more integrity back to what we do, right? So that's a good thing. With Hispanic millennials, they're considering more options. Now, some people go, I don't want that. If they're in my dealership, I don't want them to consider more options. Yes, you do, because you need to get better. Sadly, the internet has done some amazing things and a few things that have, the internet hasn't done it. We've done it to ourselves because of it. So we've started to rely on the customer to do all the research and do all the work for us. And we've stopped relying on actually going and driving competing vehicles, spending time getting to know our competitors and learning those cars inside and out so that when someone comes here, we can have the confidence to go, what up, let's go. Let's hop in my Accord and drive to the Toyota dealer. We can park them side by side. Heck, you and the Toyota guy can go for a ride in my car so you can pick it apart. Because when you get back, I'll show you all the reasons you'll still want this. But the problem is we don't have that confidence anymore because we've relied on the internet. I hear so many people, well, the customer knows more than I do nowadays. Well, then you're dumb. If the customer knows more than you and you're paying millions of dollars in franchise fees, somebody's smart and it's not you. You're right. But it needs to be us. So the fact that the consideration is higher is a good thing because it will push you to become better at knowing your product again. And by doing that, it will also help you smash your competitors. So when they're going on, though, and they're looking at search and they're doing the research online, what in the heck are they shopping for? What are they researching for? What are they trying to find out? This. So probably write it down. Almost half are looking at pricing, which, is that a surprise to anybody? Yes or no? No. Do you look at price when you go online to shop? Yes or no? 3 of you do. Do the rest of you just go, gosh, I hope to find a new friend at the store? Okay. If you look at price when you shop online, say, I do. Okay, so guess what? Just like I said at the beginning, a lot of the things that we need to do to reach U.S. Hispanic buyers are no different. We just have to give them the way to find the information. Because right now, maybe we aren't. But 1 in 3 are saying, I'm trying to compare features on the vehicle, and almost that same amount are going, I'm still trying to figure out which one of these I want. Which is going to bring us to the loyalty concerns, and more importantly, the loyalty opportunities that we have with Hispanic buyers. Now, Everybody in this room, do me a favor, say people. My spidey senses are tingling. That was not everybody. Actually, it didn't even take my spidey senses. I have decent ears. Everybody in this room, including the two dudes that sat down, and by the way, I love the hair. Everybody in this room say people. Okay, we need to stop referring to people as ups, leads, or whatever other crap we're starting to call them, or still calling them from 1984 or 1994 when I got in the business. We're dealing with people. No matter what language they speak, no matter if they spray tanned like me, which still wasn't dark enough for Vegas, no matter if they spray tan or they look like my friend Chris, the friendly ghost, none of that matters because they're all just people. Chris is our VP of operations, and he picks on me worse than I pick on him, obviously because he's skinny and I'm fat, so he's got more jokes. They're all people. So we need to think about that because where they're deciding to purchase is a very big deal, and how they decide is no different than anybody else. But here's the important thing that you may want to know. They're loyal to other people, but they're not loyal to what you sell. Let me say that again. They're loyal to other people, but they're not loyal to what you sell. According to Google's research, which came from Millward Brown, from the Hispanic breakout, not just the automotive Pat's purchase, this is specific Hispanic breakout data. 6 out of 10 bought a different brand than the one they bought right before. Now, sadly, the data, to be fair, doesn't say was it a different member in the household. So did mom and dad buy this car and then the next car went to the kid? Here's the funny thing, though. I know from working at import stores for many years before switching over to the dark side of the vendor world. Whatever, I'm still like a dealer all the time. Here's the thing. When I sold Nissans, here's what I know. Loyal customers that I had that bought Nissans, when they brought their kids in and they were looking for used cars, you know what they were looking for? Nissans. Why? Because they believed in Nissan. When I was at the Toyota dealership, when I was a young, stupider kid, not because of Toyota, because I was young and I was stupid. When I was at the Toyota store, people were diehard loyal to Toyota. It's interesting, however, because we have to say why. Why is it that 6 out of 10 Hispanic customers are switching brands the next time around and the next time around? You can go buy a Toyota, a Kia, a Hyundai, a Nissan, a Honda. Then you're like, oh, I went through those. Ford, Chrysler, Chevy. Run out of those. I guess I'll drop $100,000 on an S-Class. It's not how it works, right? So there's got to be a reason why 6 out of 10 go, try another brand. My money says it's our fault. I don't mean our fault like as a vendor. Don't blame me. You came to this room. I'm saying our fault as people. Because I don't think the experience is the same. And when I say I don't think, I mean I've watched it. And true or false, it's a different experience when somebody comes in the store if you're not set up to service them well. Your service department may not speak the language, so you're having a hard time figuring out what the customer's need is. Your finance manager may not speak the language. Your salespeople might not. They may have those same sad, disgusting stereotypes in their head because the owner who started with those stereotypes 55 years ago, kind of vomited them all the way down the management team. 6 out of 10 are picking a different brand. There's got to be a reason. I think it's us. Here's the crazy thing, though. We know people showroom. If you believe people are still shopping when they're in your store, say, I do. Good. 2 people believe that. Those of you that don't believe it, let me share something with you. People are still shopping when they're in your showroom. Now, other people were talking about it today, and everybody's like, I didn't know this was audience participation, but I just don't want to get up and leave. It's not a comedy show. You can leave. I'm not going to be like, oh, and the guy in the white shirt, oh, boo him. Listen, if you believe people are cross-shopping at your store, it's okay for you to actually open your mouth and say, I do. Here's the cool part. The cool part is, to me, that means there's still opportunity while they're in my store. If somebody's cross-shopping me when they're in my store, I know that I have the integrity that my prices are across the board the same. So I'm not worried about what they're going to see. But if they're cross-shopping brands, if I've done my job well, I'm not worried about if they're going to see another brand and go, gosh, I really, really love this E-Class Mercedes, but now that I'm just about to walk into finance, I should probably consider an Audi. It doesn't happen that way. It happens way before that part. But in your showroom, higher rate for Hispanics, and they're cross-shopping, but look at what they're shopping. If you would, take a moment to peek at those slides. There's one that's skewed drastically odd. Which one is it? Here's a hint. It's not circled. Somebody yell it out. Say it again. Yeah, so interesting enough, what they're not looking for online is strangers to tell them if you suck. Now, flip the script. Others are. But there's a pretty notable number in there. And someone just take a guess. Why do you think that is? Why are they looking at price, product, watching videos at your store, but not looking to see how you're reviewed by other people? Why do you think the Hispanic community isn't spending as much attention on that? Throw out a guess. Say that again. The reviews are not coming from their peers. Bingo. You do. You also, you know what else you got? You win a water bottle. Compliments of NADA. You can pick it up after the show. If you weren't here for the opening, this is the best show in Vegas. Hey, I didn't say it, so it must be true. I wasn't saying it about myself. Okay, so here's the thing. It's not coming from people they know and trust. See, here's the crazy thing. When you go to another country, and even though the majority, by the way, speak English, just so we're clear on that, by the way, you don't have to market in Spanish because Hispanics can't speak English. The purpose for doing it is the same reason why websites came out with mobile stuff, right? Because they don't want you to have to wait till you got home. You want to shop faster, you do it on your phone. Great. If I go home and 8 out of 10 of me and my friends speak Spanish at home, don't be a dummy. Put your stuff in Spanish so I can shop the way I want to shop. If you give me something easy, chances are we're going to hook up. And don't take that wrong because we're in Vegas. So here's the thing. When people are looking at this, they're going, I don't know you, bro. Like, why am I going to care what a stranger said? Best dealership ever. You might work for the store for all I know. But if I'm at a cookout with my family and somebody just got a new car and they're like, you know what? I went down to, what's your name? I totally didn't hear that. Valdemar. And where do you work? Okay, so if they say, I went to him in Venezuela, if they say they went to his store and they had a great experience, then guess what? The next time somebody in the family is looking for a vehicle, I mean, unless it's a drastic difference, like they rolled up and like, oh, look at my new S600 Maybach. Oh, sweet, I'm looking for a Kia. I'm not going to go see her, dude. But if it's relatively similar, right, normal cars, normal humans, normal income, they're going to go, well, we know somebody in the family said they love the experience. They trusted this guy. Let's go see him. Let's go see him. And it's a family affair. My buddy Ricky Lopez that works for Ross Media, their exhibitor here. Ricky was talking about, like, he was at Greenway Dodge, and he was the internet cat there. Man, people would bring their family in. It's like you go, like, it's kind of like, you know, after church when everybody goes to eat. It's like, hey, we're all going shopping for a car today. Let's go. Let's go together. That's weird to me, by the way. I don't want my kids to be anywhere near me when I'm buying a car. I'm like, I don't want to be near me when I'm buying anything, because then they want me to buy them something. I'm like, geez, oh, Pete, I'm just going to buy them, like, surprise, look what we got. It's cool. It's probably why I'm not married. With the Hispanic community, the trust and loyalty level is on a very peer basis. People that they like, trust, and respect, that communication takes place. Their friends on Facebook, other social media networks, primarily Facebook, by the way. Online reviews from strangers don't matter. But this is what does matter. Everybody, if you have a mobile phone, this is a group participation deal. Everybody, if you have a mobile phone, say, I do. I just needed you to do that so I could take a drink of water. Here's the cool thing. If you look, again, U.S. Hispanics over-index every other demographic in the country when it comes to mobile shopping as well. Now, here's the tricky part. Most dealers don't have a website in Spanish. Here's the cool part. They're still going to your site to try. They're still showing up. And nearly 8 out of 10 are doing that, which, by the way, is a 7% increase from the general population. That may not mean a lot, but if you're in a market of 100,000 people, that percentage becomes more important. If you're in a market of 1 million people, it becomes even more important. If you're in a market of 10, it should be important. But if you're not thinking mobile and you're not thinking about making it easy for people to shop for a car from this, then you may be missing a lot of opportunity. But what are they doing? Let's take a look. Christopher, that one, not this one. What's the biggest thing folks are looking for on their mobile phone? Yeah, it's on the screen, by the way, so if I call you, the cool part is it's right there. You don't even have to guess. They're looking for product info, right? So let me learn about this car. Next thing, of course, let me just make sure prices across dealers, see if there's a drastic discrepancy and why. Third thing, I want to read reviews about the product. And then the fourth action that happens on mobile, whose website do they visit? On the count of 3, everybody tell me whose website they're visiting. 1, 2, 3. Yes. They're not going to your OEM. Now, it's interesting that your OEM is spending all the dough on PayPerClick and everything else, but once they get all their info from search, where are they going? They're going to you. Because here's the thing, they want that relationship with you locally. They would like someone to care enough to serve them. But we don't. Now, you may be saying, dude, I do care. That's why I'm sitting in this room. And I believe that about you. Because you're here. That being said, your actions, though, to the community may not say the same thing that your mind, heart, are thinking in this moment. After all the stuff, the next place they go is to you. Question is, are you ready to serve them when they get there? Or do they go through that whole cycle, end up on your website and go, I have no idea where to go from here. Or, they didn't even care to give me even something as normal and lame as a button to switch it to Spanish. If I want to do it fast and that's the language I prefer, that's how I'm going to do it. Again, the majority of the Hispanic population in the U.S. is bilingual. They speak English. But that doesn't mean I speak it as fluently as I speak Spanish. Well, flip the script for me. So why not make it easy for them? Why not give them a way to do everything that you give all your other customers? An easy way. This is just how stuff moves through the funnel. So if you want to write it down, if you want to look at it, but information, reading the reviews in the vehicles. Here's something, though, that I think most dealers would like. How many of you would like more people to call you on the phone versus email? If you'd like more phone calls in your dealership, say, I would. God, who wouldn't, right? So if I call your dealership right now, and I speak Spanish, and I ask for a salesperson, does your receptionist even know how to respond in Spanish to tell me to hold so she can get one? Or he can get one if it's a dude? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to sound sexist about who the receptionist was. I don't want to offend any. Well, I don't usually offend people, but I don't want to offend anybody that way. If someone calls your dealership, does your receptionist even know how to tell them in Spanish, please hold, I'll get someone for you? If they don't, that may be a priority for you to take back to your store when you leave NADA. So you may want to write that down. Second thing is this, is there even anyone to transfer them to? Oh, yeah, let me translate you to somebody, or transfer. Let me transfer you to somebody. Oh, whoops, click. Oh, hope they don't call back because I didn't really know how to handle that call. Now, we all get a little laugh, but here's the sad part. I can't tell you how many times I've seen that. I can't tell you how many times I've been in a store, seen a lead come through in Spanish, like, dude, I can't read their stuff. They said, I can't read this stuff. And what happens to that lead when it comes in? Right, from that human being. It just sits because I can't read it, I can't respond. Nobody replies. So do we have people there to do it? Here's the cool stuff, though. 1 out of 3 will call your dealership and talk to you. Almost 1 out of 3 are trying to find you so they can just walk through the door. There are 3 things when you leave here that are going to affect your success and failure with the Hispanic community. So we'll walk through these 3. So write those down. And that wasn't just so I could take a drink of water. I'm going to take one anyway. People, presence, promotion. In that order. Now, part of this next little experience is going to get uncomfortable. Maybe as if the group participation thing that you weren't participating in wasn't already uncomfortable. But we're going to talk about this because I think, I know that the customers that would love to do business with you would like you to embrace these things. Number 1, people come first. Now notice there's 2 sets of clip art people in this clip art slide. A clip art family and a clip art sales professional. Here's the thing, we have to start with people. Because without them, we don't have anything, right? I mean, not to go all philosophy and whatever, but look, without a human being to write a check, you got nothing. Without somebody to help them and serve them, you got nothing. So at the dealership, we have to start. Hey, Ricky, you're coming. We have to start by embracing the idea that the people that don't work for us are important enough to serve. If you truly believe that they're important enough to serve, say, I do. See, that was kind of one of those guilt questions. If you didn't answer, you're like, God, I'm such a jerk. Okay, if you do, then you got to start with this. And this is the hard part, but I'm going to tell you, I'm going to give you some tough love. You guys remember that show on VH1, Tough Love? I don't know if you watched it. Maybe I just watched trashy shows. But it was basically like this dating show where this guy told everybody like all the things that were wrong with them so they could go finally be a perfect person to date. I was like, man, this guy's such a jerk, and they're so brilliant for taking advice from him. But it was funny. I'm going to give you some tough love. You've got to staff your store, and you got to do it right. And if you've never hired, trained, and staffed Spanish-speaking people in your store, you might want to reach out to people that do. And I'm showing you this good-looking sucker on the screen because that's Ricky Lopez, who I mentioned earlier. I know Ross is an exhibitor here. But those guys do hiring, recruiting, staffing. And they're actually the only people I know that do it. That's why you see them. But here's what I know. If we don't have people in the store ready to serve, there is no sense in spending one advertising dollar to try and attract Spanish-speaking buyers to your store. Let me say that again. If you do not have people in your store ready to serve, there's no sense in spending $1 to draw Spanish-speaking customers in. Because, as we know, we saw 62% are switching brands every freaking time. So if you're not ready to serve them, they're going to come in, they're going to think you suck, and they're not going to come back. They may never come back. They might just move to a new city and start all over again with their brands. I don't know. I would if I didn't like you. But I like you guys, so thanks. So we've got to start by being ready to serve them. Now, many people don't like to hear this. What do you mean, dude? I got to hire a person, pay him 50, 60, 70 grand a year when we don't even have customers coming in yet? Are you kidding me? What are you, stupid? You can think that all you want. Go back and keep not serving them and watch your competition make that decision and smash you. That's okay. My whole purpose is to make sure that you leave here with ideas that will help you make money down the road, not for you to go, hey, I like you so much, I'm buying drinks later. But if that's what you say, that's cool too. But if you don't staff your store well, if you don't care about the people outside your store, you're not going to make the decision to staff them inside the store. But just like when you first built a website, right? You built a website, and back in the day, it was like, if you build it, they will come. It's not Field of Dreams, kids. You got to point people to the website, right? We got to advertise. It's the same thing, though. Here's the thing. We've got to do the heavy lifting first. We've got to be willing to write the checks. It might be 3 months, 6 months, or 12 months before we start reaping the harvest as far as the amount of sales that we get to feel like we've justified adding that staff member financially. But if you're not putting people in your store, you're doing a terrible disservice to your community by trying to attract them to your store. That's just being a kind of a crappy human being. Staff your store first. Once you've got people in place, then start doing the things to drive traffic to the store. Here's what you have to look at. In the home, not the workplace. In the home, Spanish dominates. This is crazy. These statistics, again, important to help you embrace what we're talking about. 3 out of 4 prefer to speak Spanish at home, even though more than half speak English. 3 out of 4 prefer it. Again, I can't say this enough. You're not looking to market in Spanish because Hispanics don't speak English. You're looking to give a buyer, a human being, a person, an easier way to connect with a person at your store. That's what we're doing. And by the way, if anyone has ever told you anything more complex about marketing, it was all baloney. It just sounded really good and sold a bunch of stuff. Every bit of marketing is designed to do 2 things. Get one person to connect with another person. That's all. That's it. That's what marketing is for. So if we know that we're going to start marketing in Spanish and we're going to do stuff in Spanish, that's got to be the purpose. Okay, I want to make it very easy for this person to meet this person. And then we obviously have to train this person to not suck. Once we've got the person in place or the people in place, then it's all about presence, right? We have to have a place for them to go and shop. We have to have all the same things we're doing in English. Now you may say, do I have to duplicate my Facebook page? Do I have to duplicate my Twitter? Do I have to duplicate? On Facebook, I actually would. I would do a Facebook page in Spanish as well, because the Hispanic community, Facebook is a very relevant place, widely used. But you need to actually, at the bare minimum, have a website. Have a website, or have a way for yours to be translated at the bare minimum. And I'll show you some translation options so you can choose what works or doesn't work for you. But at the bare minimum, we've got to make sure that we're giving people the same experience as someone who speaks a different language. Now, you may say, well, Matt, there are so many languages spoken in the world. Seriously? So I have to do a website in Tagalog. I have to do a website in Spanish. I have to do a website in Russian. We've got a couple French people that live down the road from me. Do I need to do a website in French as well? No. Look at the numbers and be intelligent about it. If 20% of your community is Hispanic, you might want to invest 20% of your marketing budget, staffing budget, training budget, service budget, every other budget you have. You may want to make it relevant to the community that you have. This is just a math equation. This isn't rocket science. We're not rebuilding Virgin Space or whatever, Galactic, thankfully, because that blew up. All we're doing is learning how to make it easier for people to talk to people. So look at your community. If you're in here because you have a 38% Hispanic population in your market, when you go home, you should take your entire budget, look at it, shift 38% of it into towards staffing, training, recruiting, serving, and marketing to Hispanic people. Period. That's it. But if you're going to do the marketing, you got to have a place for them to land, so get a website put together. Now, here's the thing. The biggest question that I get from people is translation. Oh my gosh. If I'm in Miami, I have a huge Cuban population. If I'm in Texas, I have a huge Mexican population. If I'm in New Jersey, I have a huge Puerto Rican population. But I also have a small population of Mexicans and Cubans. Like, what do I do? Because the dialects are a little bit different. So here's what we did. We just spent a lot of time, effort, and money in researching it. And here's what we learned. Neutral Spanish, everybody understands it. But if you specifically aim it to one dialect, oftentimes it offends the others. Interestingly enough, we actually had somebody in, I think they were in Georgia, that was talking about it. And they were like, man, we got a guy that works for us that was, no, it wasn't Georgia, it was Texas. We got a guy that works for us that's Cuban. He did all of our translation stuff. We did it. And all of our Mexican customers were furious. Man, why did you do this? Yelling at, like getting mad. And he's like, for God's sake, we tried to do something in Spanish. Yeah, great. You aimed it at a bunch of Cuban people. You know what the majority of the population here is? Like they blew them up. But what we found was neutral translation offends no one. Now, is the wording perfect? Yes or no? Everybody say no. No, the sentence structure gets jacked up, right? It just does. Especially if it's automated translation. If you're paying a human being to translate into like a neutral form of Spanish, chances are they're not neutral. They weren't like born all Hispanic dialects. There's not. So automated translation is not perfect. It is not. But something is better than nothing, and I would rather not offend 3/4 of the communities in my area. So here's some of the different ways you can translate. Google's button on your website is free. How many of you have a Google Translate button on your website? If you do, say I do. Okay, so good. It's good to hear that you're doing something there at least. So the upsides to it are that it's there and it works. The downside is you will never show up in organic search on Google. And what's the number one place that everyone goes to get information? Yeah, Google. Look, it was like a symphony of 14 people saying Google. Everybody goes there. So Google's Translate button is awesome, but it translates page by page. So if somebody goes to it, you watch it kind of go down the page, translating. It's a little slow, it's a little clumpy, but it works. But because it's really kind of like looking through a magic mirror, there's actually no true Spanish text on your website, which means never will you ever show up when somebody is searching in Spanish on Google, because you really don't exist there in Spanish. It's just make-believe like unicorns. The cool thing is that it's free, though, and if you're so committed to serving the community that you don't want to spend any money, that button will at least give you something. And since the place that Hispanic people are going after they do the research is your website next, at least you got a button. Next thing is Google's actual API. Google, you can actually, your developers would know this, but there's an API you can get with Google. It'll do translation for you. Do it automatically, so if you've got your site duplicated or whatever, you also have to put rules in there so that Google doesn't think it's duplicate content just in another language. So there's some stuff you got to do. But cool thing about Google's API is it's very affordable. It's really inexpensive to translate your entire inventory. It will translate it and then put it out on your other site or the duplicated pages or whatever. Here's the tricky part. If you're a big auto group, okay, and you're running it through one funnel, Google has a limit of 500,000 lines of text that it will translate in a 30-day period. That may not mean much to you, but we had 1.5 million cars come through, so Google hit a little bit of a roadblock with translating it, and we were like, sweet, about that much of our inventory got translated, cool. So their API is good. If you're a very large dealer group, that may not be the solution. Now, Microsoft's translation is actually excellent. Microsoft's quality of translation is better than Google. It is ungodly expensive, however. Very important for you to know. Again, yes, SEO value because there's text on site, but Microsoft's translation is it's not cheap. We looked at translating, it was 500,000 vehicles. Oh, and it's slower than molasses in January. We were looking at, oh God, I almost ruined your stuff. I'm so sorry. We looked at translating 500,000 vehicles through Microsoft. It was going to take them 14 days, and the initial translation was going to cost just over $100,000 for us. Now, you're not translating 500,000 cars in your dealership, right? But you can do the math. Take 500,000, divide it by 100 grand, and then figure out how many cars you have. That's about what it'll cost you. And then however many each month you push through, It goes by lines of text, stuff like that. Microsoft is a very good option. The other option out there is server-side stuff. You can buy different server-side stuff if you've got your own developers in-house and they do it. That's what we did. That's what we do. You can have server-side translation. If you've got a really good coder, they can write some really sick stuff and do it well for you in-house. The big thing is you just got to do something. Nothing is perfect. Nothing is perfect. Nothing is perfect. I know someone who I met who builds websites or is trying to build websites in Spanish. And we were having this dialogue. He actually spoke with me in another thing. And we were having this dialogue back and forth about it. He's like, well, when we build a website, we put a button on top that can go to all these different dialects. And I'm like, okay, that's cool. That's really awesome. So a dealer sells 300 cars per month. And you do this manually? Yep, we sure do. Great. How many people do you have on staff? Well, we have 5 people full-time right now on staff. I'm like, awesome. So let's say you have 100 clients. That's cool. Let's say the average one only sells 100 cars a month. What's 100 times 100? 10,000 vehicles. Now, if every dealer's doing a good job with their seller's comments, they're at least writing, let's say, a paragraph to tell a story. So it's only like 10,000 paragraphs. And 5 people can knock that out every 30 days. And they actually sleep and eat and see their family and go to the bathroom. Now, I wasn't a math major, but you're full of it. It's just not possible. It is impossible to do it on that small of a scale. Now, there's outsourcing translation to do it manually. It's not on the slide. There's some companies that do that. Almost everyone usually reaches out to Bogota, Colombia for some reason. I think it's because it's cheap, but it doesn't ever end well. So I would encourage you to maybe look at some more localized solutions. Now, let's talk about how you promote your presence, though, because this is key. Google is the #1 place everyone goes, so it's no surprise that Hispanics go there. Remember at the beginning I said that most of what you're doing now is actually going to apply. You just have to care. Look, none of these slides should be surprising. Well, the 62% should. But the rest of it should seem like common sense that we should already be caring about. The majority go to Google. And the next place that they go, I was just checking the time to respect yours. The next place is like, Univision, like TV, right? See commercials on TV, whatever, I get information in there. Here's the big thing that all of us know. Is TV affordable anymore, yes or no? Was TV ever affordable, actually, yes or no? Yeah, there was a time, right, where cable TV or small stuff, and Univision, Telemundo, some of that stuff was really great a decade ago, even 6-7 years ago. Now, Hulu even, I'll just give you an idea. We reached out to Hulu. I love Hulu, by the way. I'm anti-institution. So I stream everything. Hulu, Netflix, Amazon, I pay probably more than I would pay for cable. Just to say I don't pay cable. I stream everything. Whatever. So Hulu I love. So Hulu has this whole section of Latin television and all this stuff. And so I was like, boom, when Hulu did that, I picked up the phone and said, let's hook up. We want to run ads for our classified site with you guys. Let's talk about this. It was $28,000 a month with Hulu. $28,000 a month. And that was when they only had 6 freaking shows. This is over a year and a half ago. They wanted $28,000 a month for Hulu, an $8 a month streaming service. I'm like, holy cow, I was customer number 146 when Hulu did their beta and it was free. And you had to stream it through your computer. I'm like, I was with you from the beginning. You should have my name. I was with you. Seriously. They're like, oh my gosh, you have been with us since it was free. And then chose to pay. I'm like, yes, I love you. Why don't you love me back? We do. That's why we're only charging you $28,000 to do it. It's like, man, love does hurt. If I were you and I knew that pay-per-click ads were super affordable in Spanish, and I knew that Univision and Telemundo were going to rip my face off financially, I might focus on the easy way to get in front of people and the #1 place they're at. Common sense should tell you don't pay more for the #2 place. You can control #1. You can make sure it's only seen by relevant times. I don't know about you, but even on Hulu, I actually pay to skip the ads on Hulu. I paid the extra $3 so I never have to see an ad. I tell Chris this every other week. I'm this close to paying $10 a month for YouTube Red because I hate in-stream ads. I hate those stupid banners that pop up. I hate ads. Right now in a marketing company. I hate ads. I hate being interrupted is what I mean by that. I only want relevant information. So here's the crazy thing, though, when you think about this. With Google, you can make sure it's all targeted, all relevant, perfect radius, perfect terms. You can pick it all. With TV, you can't pick anything. You can pick the show. Hey, play it on Jane the Virgin. It's like bilingual. It's a really fun show. Love it. It's super awesome. But guess what? I don't know about you, but you know what commercials signified to me during the television show? What time is it? Well, you could change channel. But if you like the show, and what are you going to do when a commercial comes on? Thank you so much. I can't say it because I don't think any idea would like it. You're going to go to the bathroom and you're going to get a snack. You're like, sweet, let me see what this commercial's about. The Super Bowl is the only event in the entire history of the universe that people go, yes, what commercials are going to come out? And they've been so terrible the last 5 years. People are like, man, do I even care who's playing? Really? I mean, this year people cared. And Peyton Manning's going to be out, which is awesome, I guess. But because I was a Patriots fan, so it's only awesome, I guess. But people get up and leave during commercials. So when that one's affordable and you can target it perfectly to when they're ready, and that one's extremely expensive and you can't target it for anything, do what you think is the smarter thing to do. Now, something that we didn't touch on and we're going to touch on. We're going to get touchy. How many of you are using video right now in your marketing? If you are, say, I am. Cool. That was like this % of you. Video marketing is key right now, right? That's why YouTube is doing pre-roll and in-stream and all these other annoying things. But the cool thing is organic video is great and YouTube is fantastic. But here's the cool thing. The average Latino person spends an hour and a half more watching videos online than the general population, which means an hour and a half more opportunity to reach them. Not with in-stream ads, not with interruptions, but with organic video. Have somebody in your store walk around a car and talk about it in Spanish, and then put all that stuff into a closed caption, into translation, into the description. Boom. Now when somebody's searching for any of those terms in Spanish, guess what? You're the only local person with the info. Is that good news or bad news? That's great news. And the cool thing is, how much does YouTube cost you right now? How much? Do you know? To just upload a video? How much? Oh, it's free. Yes. It costs $0.00. If you like free stuff, say I do. Cool, then start using it. Other people like it too. They go there because it's free. They go there because they feel like it's going to be unbiased information. Interesting that the Hispanic community will not look at reviews to find unbiased information from strangers, but they will, however, spend an extra 90 minutes on YouTube watching videos. That's a free opportunity for you. I would take advantage of it. You'd be much better off having people make videos than having them broom the snow off your cars in the winter. Your salespeople aren't free labor, right? Give them a reason to go out there and shoot video. Now I can go out and shoot it. I can tell them to ask for me when they come in the store. I'm basically becoming a local celebrity, if nothing else in my own mind. People will want to do it. Because now if I'm one of two people at the dealership that speak Spanish, and I go out and do walk-around videos on new cars and promote them out to YouTube. I do every new car that we have. Then I go out and do it on used cars, and I'm pushing them out to YouTube. Then you embed those videos on our website. Guess what? I'm the face of the dealership that speaks Spanish. Now, as a sales professional, that means something to me. It's worth it to me. I can tell you, we're in Michigan. How many of you are in a cold state? If you are, say, I am. Okay, so every winter we got salespeople out there with these big brooms and stuff after giving them the whole lecture about this is like owning your own business. You can make all this money. But wait, I'm going to treat you like you're worthless and not pay you extra to go out and do manual labor. Hire a porter. Same concept. The difference is this. When it comes to video, now I can benefit. And when one person does it in Spanish, let's say, and they start crushing it, oh, guess what all your other salespeople see? The motivated ones go, man, that worked for him. Maybe I'll try it. Oh, that worked for her. Psh, I'm going to do it too. And now you got a bunch of people trying to see who can do it better. But the problem is, as leaders, we kind of forget to show people the value in this. Video, critical. Here's the cool thing. It shows up in organic search as well. Google is very much, they're on a mission to give people options. Okay, everybody say options. Google's on a mission to give you options. I don't care if you've got a whole boatload of videos. They're probably not going to show more than one in the search results. Okay? But Google's organic search, you may have one pop. YouTube is where they're going to show, and YouTube is where everybody goes for video. Okay? The cool thing is you can use it to dominate your competition. You can say, let me show you how the Toyota Camry outdoes the Honda Accord. You can say, let me show you why you might prefer the Kia Soul over the Nissan Cube. You can go out and talk about your competitors and talk about their features, talk about the car, the trim level, everything on your competitor's car. And guess what? When somebody's searching that competitor, you show up on YouTube. And guess what? 62% are switching brands. I don't know about you, but to me that sounds like opportunity. Not only can we inform the customer, we can inform them why we're better than the people down the street. If we care enough to take the time to do it, that's all. Facebook, and I think it's the last thing I'm going to show you on the ways to get your exposure. Facebook. Mark Zuckerberg, my arch nemesis. My 14-year-old got Facebook live streaming before me. And I still believe it's because I complained about Mark Zuckerberg on Periscope, not rolling it out faster to people in Michigan. And then my kid got it. All my friends got it. Literally, I was a month and a half behind everyone. I'm like, I live stream every freaking day on Periscope. Zuckerberg, I hate you. And if you type his name in Facebook, by the way, it will tag him. And then it will automatically remove the tag. But I think I tagged him like 100 times. That might not have been smart. Facebook ads are awesome. How many of you are advertising on Facebook right now? If you are, say, I am. Awesome. How many of you are doing it in Spanish? If you are, say, I am. Yes. You guys rock. Here's the cool thing. Facebook gives you the opportunity to target things down very well. Now, there are a couple things I want to share with you that you might not have considered. When you're targeting an audience and you're going through on Facebook to try and reach Latino buyers, there are a couple things. A, look at your radius and be realistic. Don't run ads 150 miles outside of your market. That's just silly. You can be like, look, our ads show up like all the way in Miami and we live over here in Tampa. Cool. I'm not going to have a jet to come see you, bro. It's a new car. I'm not going to do it for $100 savings. So be intelligent about your market radius, okay? Second thing, though, is this. When you're targeting, stop just picking Spanish language. Let me say that again. Stop just picking Spanish language. Even if you're marketing in Spanish, choose Hispanic all. And here's why. Because even though the majority prefer to speak Spanish, they're still bilingual, and because they don't believe you're prepared to serve them well, a lot of folks are actually, their Facebook is set to English, they're looking at that, and then it's like, boom, your ad pops, it's like, what? Let me check this out. Boom. And we tested this. This isn't just theory. We did this running ads specifically for our dealer clients, where we ran them in Spanish only, and we ran them targeting all. And targeting Hispanic all, we saw the engagement go through the roof, and because the quality score went through the roof with Facebook, our cost per click went to next to nothing. We were down to what, 8 cents? 8 cents a click. That's just stupid, which means I love it, because that means I'm paying Facebook a lot less money and driving a ton of traffic to my clients. Drive it to yourself. Pick Hispanic all, do ads in Spanish, do them in English as well. You'll see engagement go through the roof. It's amazing. Next thing is this. Polk data is in Facebook. So you can decide, do I want to reach people buying in the next 6 months or the next 12 months? All you do is under behaviors, type the word buy, B-U-Y. It will pull up Polk data, boom, boom, boom. You can pick near market or in market. Near market is within the next 12 months. In market is the next 6. Last but not least, watch the right-hand side of the screen. It'll show you, not mine, I mean on Facebook's, it will show you how many people that ad should serve to. Okay? So you'll see total people out there, how many are going to get served with your ads. Potentially, of course. So Facebook is the most affordable way, and Google pay-per-click, obviously, as we just mentioned, but Facebook is awesome. We saw more engagement there, better results than any other paid ad source. So here are your key takeaways. There are a pile of them. So you can write them down. You can't take a picture of them if you have your phone out. NADA says that, but I'm not looking. It says, I'm just kidding. Write them down. You have a pen. Type them in your notes. First things first. Everybody that's still in the room, I'm going to ask you to just one more time participate with me. Everyone, please say people. Thank you so much for that. You've got to put them first. Then once you've got the people in place, right, it starts with caring about the people outside the store enough to put people inside your store. Once you've got that on lockdown, next thing, just create a presence. And I use the word mobile friendly, but I'm just going to change that word to responsive. I heard somebody talking about responsive websites. They kept saying mobile responsive. All right, responsive means it works on every platform. You don't have to put the word mobile in there. I said mobile friendly because everyone likes to think that. We know Hispanic buyers are on their mobile phone, so don't cheap out and do some crappy landing page that's not responsive. That's why I put the word mobile there. Make sure I can shop from my phone because that's the way I want to shop. Next, promote. Video is free. Facebook and Google are affordable, so get at it. If we know search is the #1 place that they go, let's make sure we're there. You can read the last two. But after everything, after Google, your website is the next place they want to be. So if you don't have one, now is the time to start laying the plan. It's going to take somebody a couple months to build you one anyway, and that's about how long it's going to take you to hire and train someone to be ready to serve people. So begin the process. And last but not least, get ready to smash your competitors. That's all I've got for you. If the robot we're talking to would go, if you thought that was valuable, round of applause. And then, thanks.